Welcome, everyone, to our live podcast, Win More on Purpose. Today, we have Joel Freund with us on networking in the digital world, how to talk with people when you are not face-to-face. Our agenda today, for those who are not familiar, we're going to have a conversation back and forth. We're all here learning together. There's going to be questions and answers at the end. Make sure you write them down as they come up, and there will be a recording for those who can't stay to the end. To start off, whoever's here, please put into the chat, what are you focusing on your business today or where you're coming in from? And for those who don't know me, as you're doing that, my name is Yaacov Steinberg. When I first went into the coaching space, I am a sales coach. I noticed that people were able to build 6, 7-figure businesses on their own. They're great at what they do. They're passionate. At some point along the way, they learn how to speak to people. And along the road, they'd hit a glass ceiling in growing their business. There's only so many incoming referrals and leads that would come in, and they'd struggle to take it to the next level. Sales, a lot of times, is associated with a used car salesperson, which they don't want to be. So how do they take it to that next level? And that's where I'd come into the picture: mindset, techniques, skills, really helping them to have confidence and clarity in how to go to that next level, having the ability to speak to new people or follow up with potential clients. I've had the pleasure of working together with people such as Chaya Fishman, Hoodie Bluch, Hoodie Greenberger, and the people that have been able to work with me at 6, 7-figures have been able to take it even 50% growth in the first 60 days of working with me. Those in the $100,000 realm, give or take, have been able to grow by even 150% in the first 60 to 90 days. And those really just starting out, solopreneurs, have been able to grow by even 200, 240% in the first 45 days. Joel, I'd like to welcome you to the podcast, and please tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's get the show on the road.
So my name is Joel Freund, and people know me for Fluix Media. We manage a lot of social networking accounts for many busy entrepreneurs. And over the years, we learned a lot about how to do networking in a digital world. And that's what it is. That's what social media is all about. People think social media is it's a lead generation tool. It's a advertising tool. It's my platform. It's my stage where I can give my speeches. It's not. And I learned it on my own experience in my previous company, where I started using it years ago, and then later when we founded Fluix Media, this is a lot of what we're doing.
Amazing. Fantastic. So just to start off this conversation, I always think that people really still today don't have a full understanding of what does it mean to build an online presence and why it's important to do so. So can you take us through that? Like, why about those points when it comes to people being online?
Online, there's no such thing as online. It's not a specific. People think about online. It's like you go to the grocery store, you go to Eretz Yisrael, you go to America, you go to Manhattan, you go to online. There's no such place as online. Online is in a way, online is a virtual universe, which is a bunch of nothingness. There's nothing happening online. Online is just a virtual universe. It's almost like you're in the desert. And what you try to do is, in today's day and age, a lot is happening online. Online, in the universe that's called online, there's a lot of business happening. But just by going into the universe is not going to do anything for you. You still have to apply the regular, old-fashioned, human-to-human interaction and experience within you in order to be able to do any business, to do anything. Just doing anything online is not gonna do anything for you. It's almost like you can set up a store in the desert. You can have the most beautiful store, but you won't sell a thing. And it's almost identical in the virtual space.
Amazing. So go ahead.
So what you need to try to do is you want to try to find the crowd, find the community, find the thing that you want to do within that virtual space. And that could be opening up a website, that could be opening up a store. You still need to find your community, find your space, find your people, and still interact with them in the same way you would interact human to human. It doesn't matter. The fact that it's happening online does not change the rules of engagement. It's still the same thing. You're trying to sell something to another human being. You're trying to do a service. You're trying to get another human being to pay you for whatever you're going to do for them. So that human connection is still going to be the same thing. You might have to learn different technical skills. If you want to sell online, you need to know different technical skills, but the human skills, the human nature doesn't change. And that is the biggest mistake. That is the biggest mistake that people do online. Once they sit behind the screen, and if you do it for a long time, you get used to it. It starts feeling like a game. You feel like you're playing a game. You don't feel like there's another human being the other side of that screen, and it becomes a game. And then we lose touch. And then we wonder, where are all the people gone? What happened? Why is what? And we don't get engagement, and we think it's the algorithm, we think it's the SEO messed me up, or all those things, which is all true. You need to know all those technical things as well, but that's not the full picture.
Yeah, and I think it's very powerful what you're pointing out, because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're here to create relationships. And being online, whether that's LinkedIn or other platforms, we need to just be us. And a lot of people, they, like you said, they get lost in this glitzy idea of, oh, I'm online and therefore I need to be different. I need to act different. I need to look different. And it's not the case. Do you feel, and because I see this all the time, people go, well, I'm in B2C, so is that different than B2B? And I think that people have this misconception when they feel like, oh, they're online and they're a business to customer or business to business. Is there a real difference when it comes to B2B or B2C?
I'm now reading a book. It's called I have it right there. It's called Never Lose a Customer Again. It's a very powerful book. It was from Chris Beer told me to read that book. And I started reading it, and then I realized it's such an important book. So I put it into the book club in Fluex, and we're reading it together. We're working it through together. It's an interesting project. One of the terms that I learned in that book is a new term. It's called H2H. There's no such thing as B2B or B2C anymore. That's 1980. It's H2H today. It's human to human. That's all it is. It doesn't matter whether it's B2B or B2C. It's going to be human to human. H2H is going to win the game. And that's why you see the landscape of marketing change so dramatically over the last 10 years. Like you see the Teslas of the world. You see there are so many examples, complete change, and people still can't people still don't understand what happened. People don't know that, as Tesla doesn't spend a lot of money on marketing. As a matter of fact, their marketing budget is zero. They don't spend any money. They don't spend anything on marketing, and that's because they do a good job in the H2H, the way they're able to connect to the people. And again, Tesla may be an example that is too far-fetched for most people. Like, it's far away. I would tell you, read about try to find information about Tesla in 2004, 2005, 2006, and you'll see what I mean.
I 100% agree. And it's funny because people they've lost track of this concept of just having a conversation with people. And when we talk about, B2C or B2C, it's just a type of human to human interaction, just like you said. And today, that's really all it is. It's the screen is an extension, or LinkedIn or these platforms are extensions of real life. And therefore, when you're talking to someone, you can't just act in a different way or act however you want, which is one of the things that so many people of today get confused about, because ultimately it's just, like I said, it's that extension of you. And it's all about building those relationships, like we said earlier, which leads me to my next question, really, which is how do you build relationships with people online utilizing the posts of LinkedIn as an example? Which types of content do I need? And things like that when it comes to really taking it to the next level.
So the rule the rule that everyone should be using in content creation is, what is the conversation that you would have with a prospect? Let's say, for example, let's say you do real estate deals. You're looking for investors. Giving you a far example. You're trying to influence investors to trust you with their money to buy real estate investments. And you happen to be, you're trying to get into that space. That has been your dream for all your life, but you never had an opportunity, you never had access to those types of transactions in your life. And you happen to be at an event or an elevator with the exact guy. This is the exact person that is exactly the person that you were looking for your entire life. This is the guy who has the money, is always investing in real estate. If that guy will trust you, it's going to be a career change for you, a life change. What is the first thing that you tell them then? How do you start the conversation? What is it that what do you want to tell this person? Is your first conversation going to be, I'm doing a real estate investment. Do you want to invest with me? What do you think the response is going to be if you do that? The person, the person's going to run. There's no way he's giving you his money. So what is it? And that is the filter. That is the root. This is the main concept of what to think about before when it comes to content creation, because that is going to start this is going to provoke your thinking into what are the conversations that I need to have in order for my target audience, the people that I'm looking for, I should be able to connect with them, become close to them, and become their friends, and influence their thinking, and get them to trust me so we can do business together. So that's why when it comes to cold pitching and mass email, mass messages on LinkedIn, I'm not going to say that people have never done business that way, ever, but this is definitely not the best way to start a conversation with your potential investor, with your potential, with that person that you just met, and that person has the key to your success. That's not the best first impression. So every single interaction online, whether it's a private message, whether it's a post on LinkedIn, whether it's anything, go through that filter and you'll see what it does. It does wonders.
Fantastic. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes to what is it that people want to hear about, that's really, like you said, that's the filter that we need to run everything through in terms of what are the pain points that people experience and can you talk to those, right? What are the things that you're hearing on the conversations that you're having together with your existing clients and your day-to-day interactions with them? Those are the things that people want to hear about that are going to be those potential clients for you on the platform. I would ask you the second half of that question in terms of which types of content do I need, as well as in comparison to that, how about when it comes to connecting and commenting? Are there ways specifically in terms of building the relationships that you always talk about? Take us through that process.
So, absolutely. Commenting is another format of communicating. It's another tool. It's another way of having a conversation, of provoking a conversation, of starting a conversation. I see a lot of so many of the comments. Today, now with AI, there's so much garbage going on. There are so few people who are actually putting like using the brain is going to be illegal in the next. I think our kids. I think there's going to be a law like using your brain. You're not supposed to use your brain. If you're using your brain, you're doing something wrong. If you are going to put a comment on LinkedIn, which is an opportunity to start a conversation with your prospect, put in something that is going to provoke that is going to do that is going to pique their curiosity. There's going to, I can't tell you how many times I can give you examples all day long. Like everyone knows, anyone who was on LinkedIn knows, my main person is this Rachel Grunbaum from London.
Right.
How did I find her? How did we meet? How did we meet? She was putting it was from a private message on LinkedIn. She sent me a message. It was a couple of years ago. She sent me a message, an innocent, simple message, which was she was commenting about something that I posted. She told me something valuable, not the intention wasn't to sell me anything or to make me do something. It was just a real authentic conversation. Just a second. I'm sorry. I have a call. Sorry about that. Just
No
under
worries.
the weather for 2 weeks, and I'm trying to get out of it. So that and she sent me a message, and I was like, it was so different, so refreshing, so real. I always have this conversation on LinkedIn. Whenever I talk about authenticity, vulnerability, I have all those voices coming out, like hundreds of them, and telling me like how wrong I am and how much people want to do business with strong people. People want to do business with people that are all set up and know what they're doing. Never show your vulnerabilities. Don't be authentic. Don't show your weaknesses. Whatever. That's a conversation for another day. But it was so real and so refreshing that I was so intrigued, and we started a conversation, and I ended up giving her a small project and then a bigger project and then a bigger project. And we ended up working together. We're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars in business, and then she's right now my right hand in Fluex. She's the pretty much leading the show in a very big way. That started from one private message. And I can give you examples all day long, but that's close to home. Reality is that people are craving real conversations. And as much as everyone is talking about vulnerability, as much as everyone is talking about authenticity, so many books and so many authors, there's so little of it that it became like it's like I think Bitcoin is nothing when you compare it to authenticity. It's a currency that is so rare that it's that people would pay anything in order to get it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Exactly like you said, I had made a post the other day. There's 5 levels of communication, and ultimately, at the end of the day, when we connect that idea to LinkedIn and using it in that way, it's really the posts on LinkedIn are starting the conversation. A lot of times the comments is deepening the relationship. It's when you take it to the DMs, all of a sudden now you're having an actual conversation with them in a much deeper way. And then you take it offline, and all of a sudden you get to know each other, and you're able to take it to places like you just said with you and Rachel. Like, these are things that never would have been able to happen had she not taken the time to say, hey, I really liked what you said today, and had an actual conversation with you about it. So I think it's extremely powerful, this concept also of authenticity and just being you, right? If people meet you online as one individual, and then when they actually get into a real conversation with you, or they meet you over a Zoom or on phone, or they meet you in person at an event, you're a completely different person. They're going to be very confused, not excited to work with you.
That's a whole other
So
story.
there's a big part of that, I think, and I agree with what you're saying. Taking this to the next step, there's a
That's
lot of
what you just said is a very important point, and I want to talk about this for a minute. It's a
Sure.
very important point, because in a recent post, one of the people that was really not having it with me, like hashing it out, was a person that I was actually trying to give business to. not such a long time ago. That person is posting very well, doing very well on LinkedIn. And I reached out, have a small project. I'm looking for, I think you are doing exactly that. What would you charge? Let's get on a Zoom call. Great. We got on a Zoom call, and all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. This is a different person completely. And it was so shocking to me. It was such a shock that I just didn't know what to say. Like, this is not the same person that I knew from LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you have this very secure, outspoken, in your face type of approach. Know it all, very, very secure. And I come on Zoom and it was a reserved, very low energy, insecure, have total different demeanor. And I was very confused. And then a week later, when I posted about authenticity, that person's saying that you have to hide your weaknesses, I was like, okay, here you go. So, I mean, do we even talk the same language? It's so important. It's so important not to fake it. You can't, because even if you would be successful in faking it, even if you would be highly successful, you'll have 100,000 followers and you'll have unbelievable engagement. It's not going to bring you business. This is not what people know you for. And this is not the person that they connected to. This is not the person that they got drawn to. That
Yeah,
is
and
that.
it boils right down to the misconceptions that people have about what building a relationship online really means. Right? They get confused, and this really goes into the next question exactly, which is, do I need to be so authentic that I'm oversharing and talking about every aspect of my life with lots of selfies?
No,
Right? Of course not.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. You should only share what you feel comfortable sharing. I never I never speak on LinkedIn about my family, although I think it would have made great content if my intention would have been to have a lot of likes and comments. I think that would have been an interesting story. I was 20 years old and I didn't know a word English, born and raised in a secluded area in upstate New York. I didn't know a thing from a thing. I have a family of 9. And I think it's a very nice story. And a picture of all the kids sitting around me, I think it would have done very well. I don't think it would give me business. That's why I'm never doing that. Everyone should share whatever they want to. I'm not saying share whatever. You don't need to. I'm not posting pictures of my newborn babies either, even though it does very well on LinkedIn. People on LinkedIn love that stuff, right? New
Right.
baby, mother's doing well, beautiful picture of the hospital. Amazing. That's not the point. That's not the point of LinkedIn. Um, Again, if you want to, you could. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying everyone should share whatever they feel comfortable with. But that's not it when I'm talking about authenticity. That's not it at all. You should share things that would be a good conversation opener, and be, if you want to know what is the best book about LinkedIn and networking, you want to master LinkedIn, read How to Win for Friends and Influence People. Yes, I know there was no LinkedIn when Dale Carnegie was around. I think he passed away way before LinkedIn was even a thought, way before the internet was invented. Same rules, same thing. You read that book, you'll know what to do on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and it boils down to, at the end of the day, really having that, clear understanding of what you're comfortable with, but also what do people need to understand about you and who you are and how you do business in order for them to have that, feeling of whether they do or don't want to work together with you. I think that a lot of people, once we, get to a point, okay, so I'm supposed to be authentic, they then think to themselves, how do I know what kind of content my audience is going to connect to, though? And where do I find the ideas to keep pumping stuff out?
Very good question. To be successful in LinkedIn, on LinkedIn and any social media platform, you need to have a great deal of self-awareness, especially on LinkedIn, because it's the B2B space, so everything is at a high level. It's when you want to sell a $10 ring on Facebook, the level of intelligence and the level of conversation is not the same as if you want to do $1,000 or a $10,000 or $100,000 transaction. In the B2B space, it's typically bigger transactions, bigger numbers, requires a higher level of trust. So obviously the level of intelligence and self-awareness needs to be at a higher level. So most of the time, the things that you're interested in is not the same topics as the people you're talking to. And that is the reason why I mentioned the book, How to Influence and Influence People, is because he talks a lot about becoming interested in other people. And that's a skill that you can learn. Some people are natural in it, but you can actually master it. Become genuinely interested in other people. Everyone wants to share. Everyone wants to talk about themselves all day long. I have so much to share. I want to share my journey. I want to share everyone wants to talk. No one wants to listen. And what people want most, what builds a relationship most, is people feeling heard. People want to talk to someone. People want to feel listened to. So, and that's a skill. You need to know who your target audience is. You need to understand who they are. And then, it takes skill to figure out what is it that they're interested in. What kinds of what are the conversations that I need to become familiar with? And what are the conversations that I need to be having in order to show them that I'm interested in their lives? And what most people are doing online is they're trying to get other people become interested in them. They want to get other people become interested in their story. I'm so great. Me, my kids, my pictures, my selfies, my vacation. I went there, I went here, flashy, all those things. Look at me. And that doesn't build anything, because what people are interested in is in themselves. So what you want to try to do is figure out how to become genuinely interested in other people. And if you spend time on LinkedIn, and if you spend time researching your target audience, read their posts, reading their comments, you're going to find out very, very quickly what they're interested in, And so they're telling you, they're posting about it, they're writing about it, they're commenting about it, because everyone is talking about themselves. So all you need to do is take that information and you become interested in them, and then you know what to post about, then you know what to talk about. It's almost like if anyone in any professional salesperson wants to reach out to a let's say I'm selling airplane parts and I want to sell to Boeing, and I found out who is the buyer that makes those decisions, and I want to make a relationship with them. And let's say I get an appointment, I get to talk to them. The first thing that I'll do would be I would research heavy. I would put in hours researching this executive. What is the person interested in? Is he? I'll check out his Facebook page. Is he a fan of any sports group? And even though I know nothing about sports and have zero interest in sports, I don't even know anything about it, I would make it my business to learn everything there is to know about it. And when I reach out to him, I would better start a conversation about something that is interesting to him. And this is how you build a relationship. Not by trying to get him to interested in my story. That's a losing game. This is what everyone else is doing. So in content, it's the same thing. It's the same principle. It's just like in real life. Who is your target audience? Figure that out first, and then figure out what are the conversations that they're having. What are they talking about? and talk about that. It's very easy to find information. You can search on LinkedIn and you can search on other platforms. Twitter is very good at that. You can find out what are the topics that your target is talking about, what is trending, what is going on in that space, and then you tune into that. And this is how you steer the conversation in an area that is interesting to your target audience, and not trying to get them interested in you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when we talk about connecting with people on LinkedIn and creating a relationship with anybody, it's always going to be where we need to make it more about them than about ourselves. Just like you're saying, it's about giving more than it's about taking. It's about serving the other person versus trying to get from them. And I think that especially these days, I mean, it's something that bears for all of us to remember. When we go, to the next stage, right? We talk about, getting clients through posts, and you mentioned earlier, those are things that are possible. Could you share how you yourself were able to land a client or clients through organic LinkedIn posting and engaging?
Happens all the time. That's my life. There's a company, pretty big company. It's probably my biggest client to date. Big company. They do real estate syndications, huge deals, hundreds of employees, a very big company. And I just had this conversation yesterday. Like, I was going through my client list and I asked the team, like, how did we get this client? Where is it coming from? They said, what do you mean? That person sent a message to your inbox. They just sent a message to my inbox. I had no prior relationship with that person. As a matter of fact, I still don't have a relationship with them because it's a bigger company and my inbox is managed by my team. And they signed them up without even I wasn't even involved in the process. But that person reached out to my inbox and asked that they want our service, and that was completely organic, came from LinkedIn, just by me being me on LinkedIn, just by me being me. I'd never pitched them, I never private messaged them, I never sent them junk emails, nothing. Pretty sure if this person would have gotten from me one junk inbox, one piece in his inbox from me, I think it would have ruined the whole thing. Pretty sure.
Yeah, and it's amazing because ultimately, people say, how can I get clients just from posting on LinkedIn and from engaging with people? And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's because when you're talking about what other people want to hear about, and when they see that you're an authority, you're an expert, and you understand them and what's going on in their life, that's who they want to be serviced by, right? They want to be served by someone who understands them and their problems. And if that's the way that you're talking on those posts, because like you said, you're listening and you're trying to understand what is it that interests them and seeing what they're talking about and what is going on in their comments and in their posts, then you're going to be able to be there for them in a way that they're just going to reach out to you one day and say, hey, I've been following your stuff and I'd love to, schedule a time to talk, or I'd like for you to, work together with me. And, it also, there obviously, it goes down to, like you said earlier, really being, yourself, so that when they get to you, they know that you're real and, you're not someone else. But a lot of times it comes down to, like you said, having a conversation in the direct messaging. When people reach out to others, let's say a lot of times there are people who want to reach out to people via direct messaging. Are they able to get clients in that way as well?
Yes, people do a lot of business in the direct message. As I told you, Mrs. Grimbaum messaged me, sent me a direct message, and it happened to be we did a lot of business. But even in the direct message, the rules of the H2H rules don't change. It doesn't change whether it's in the posts or in the comments, a private message, or in the emails, and of course on the phone. It doesn't change. It has to be real and authentic, and you cannot just pitch services to someone you've never met, someone that you have no relationship with. ultimately, if you engage LinkedIn with the same principles as you would in real life, if most people would do that, people would do a lot more business because there's so much opportunity. There's so little, there's so few people who are doing it right, so few people who are actually genuinely connecting with others in a real way. So few people that it always amazes me how people are trying to, they go for the shortcut and they end up killing the whole process. Every time I have this conversation with people who do like I'm getting like 100 messages a day about now, 100 messages a day about doing we will fill up your calendar, we will get you booked appointments, we will get you all those things. And it always amazes me when I ask them, like, what is your conversion ratio? Like he says, I just today booked 2 meetings for a company just like yours. Great. How many messages did you send? 200. So it's 2 out of 200. That's a half of a percent. How much is the conversion? Great. That's 198 people who hate you now. So they always say, no, that's not true. No one responded negatively to our messaging. Yeah, they didn't respond negatively. They just ignore you. You know what's worse from hate? People think that that love and hate are the two opposites. What's worse than hate? Indifference. Hate, there's still some emotion there. Like you need to care about something in order to be able to hate it. But what's even worse is indifference. 198 people are not even responding to you. You know what that means? You know how that ruins a reputation? When you mass message people, you annoy hundreds and thousands of people every day. People don't realize how bad that is for business. You just disrespect the human process. You disrespect the human connection.
I had a conversation like that today with someone. I spoke to someone. He said, we need to help with strategy and, and how to pitch and how to approach people. So I said, what are you doing now? So he tells me he's sending messages to people right out of the gate in the request to connect message. He's saying, we'll give you 20% off because you came through LinkedIn. I'm like, oh no. And I had to walk him through the process of understanding, like, what are you really doing on this platform? It's an online networking platform that's 24/7, 365, where you can walk over to anybody in the room, strike up a conversation in the comments, in their DMs, by just connecting with them, just like you would at a networking event. It's no difference. And at the end of the day, like we said earlier, it's about that relationship. So
yeah,
there's a lot of information.
I learned LinkedIn from a great salesperson who's not even on LinkedIn. It was about 10 years ago. I was in I was in the capacity of one of the boards that I'm on, one of those non-for-profits. A guy came in and he was doing printing. He was doing printing, so we do all those events and those in the non-for-profit world, and he was trying to get a printing business. He came in and he asked me, who are you using for printing? I said, well, we're set. I have someone. He said, great. Yeah, that person, I know him. He's great. He's very good. But if you need any help, I can help. I said, great. I don't need any help. Thank you. Then he said, can I see your invitation to the thing? So I told him, sure. I gave it to him. He looks at it and he gave me like, I'm going to give you a tip that is really very helpful. I'm not expecting your business. I know you're set and you're in great hands. You're good. Just want to give you one tip. If you do whatever, he told me something to do something with it, it's going to make a big difference. Told him, thank you. I called up my guy. I told him about this tip. We did it. It was a great success. And I was like, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. And he gave it to me for free, like without expecting anything in return. And of course, next time we met, we walked into each other. We had a very good conversation. Like we're friends now. Like he helped me, and I feel very good about the relationship because he's not asking anything in return. And he still didn't ask anything. Even after the second encounter, he still didn't ask anything. He just said, thank you. If you need any help, any tips, even if you're never going to use me, I'm here to help. Any help you ever need in that space, in this space, call me anytime. This is my cell phone number. Just ask me. I'm telling you, people do it all the time. I help everyone. I love this stuff. I have a passion for it. So I'm happy to help, even if the business is someone else's. We ended up doing a lot of business. I don't want to go for you with the full story, but this is exactly how sales should be done, online and offline.
Providing value. It's the
That's it.
bottom line of what everyone needs. Everyone wants to feel value from other people, and that's how you're really going to be able to move things forward. To end off, there's a lot of information that we covered today. Where's the first place that people should get started if they want to begin going through this process?
So the first thing is first, you have to set up your profile properly. If you want to be on LinkedIn, you need to have a proper profile. If you're going to start posting and your profile is not set up right, it's a little bit like putting in the trying to fish without a how's it called, you're putting in the bait, but you're missing the hook. You don't have the hook, you just have the bait. The fish are coming, but you don't have anything to pull them out of the water. Yeah, you need to have your profile set up properly. A proper profile means the headline is set up properly, something intriguing. No one cares what your title is. Title is the last thing that you want to put in a profile. Tell people what you're doing. Tell people who you're doing it for. Tell them how you're different. There's so many different formulas on how to set up a proper profile. I don't want to go into it, but I think I have a slide on LinkedIn that talks about exactly step by step how to set up a profile properly. That's the number one thing. The headline, the about page, the experience section, the services, the featured section, the every single piece should be set up. It should be perfect. Your skills, everything. Recommendations is very good, very helpful. If you had business with other people, if you're in business, you try to get recommendations from past clients. If you're not in business, try to get recommendations from people that you have had dealings before. No one dropped out of the sky one day to the other. I always have this conversation with people like, who can I ask a recommendation from? Like, unless you dropped off the sky, unless you just moved here from space, you should have people that could recommend your work. Whether it's past coworkers, whether it's past employers, whether it's there's so many different ideas. Get recommendations. It's a very, very good piece. Then, if you're comfortable to start showing up on LinkedIn, you can start with comments. Make a search on LinkedIn for your target audience. It's very easy. And start engaging with them. Have conversations with them in the comments. People appreciate it very much. It's very not intrusive. People don't feel attacked. It's not like you're walking into someone's office and you're trying to pitch your services where people have their guards up. People have their guards down. They're actually welcoming. They want to have those conversations. Most people will respond to all their comments. They will engage with you. They'll schmooze with you. Ultimately, if you do it right, you would start doing business. And then, if you're comfortable, you can start doing posts. Posts is the strongest format of communication on LinkedIn. And just talk about things that is interesting to your audience. Don't talk about yourself.
I think it's fantastic. And my last question for you is, I think, a really big topic in of itself, but let's try to keep it succinct in how do people stay consistent?
How do people stay consistent in anything? It's one of the hardest things in life. Stay consistent. Actually, for some people it's nature. Some people are very consistent. The way they do things is consistency comes easy. In the Myers-Briggs system, it's called the J. The J is a very punctual, scheduled person, but most people are not like that, and consistency is a challenge. My posts are usually written a month in advance. So many times people comment to me, I'm getting those comments like, oh, I know where this post is coming from. Last week we had this conversation. You stole the idea from me. I told you about that thing, and now I see the post on LinkedIn. Little do they know that this post has already been scheduled a month before. So scheduling posts is actually the easiest way to stay consistent because it's always prepared. There's never just a spike of energy that gets it going. It's always prepared, always ahead of time, and I think I've been posting on LinkedIn consistently for about, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know. And it was always scheduled.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I'm not that scheduled in advance. Usually, I'm actually creating new posts. I have ideas for the different posts, but usually, I actually create it the day of. I like that freshness at this stage still of being able to just create it on the fly. But at the same time, like you said earlier, everyone has to do what works best for them.
Yeah,
And I find it's
yeah,
a muscle. As soon as you start doing it and you realize what it is that you want to be talking about and you know the topics in advance, which I do, right? I'm not just making it up as I go along and every single day trying to figure, okay, what am I going to talk about today? Because that would kill me, right? And when I did that in the past, it made it so much harder to go through the process. But when I know in advance what it is that I want to talk about, because I've decided already what I'm going to talk about on this day and on that day and the other day, then it's just a matter of figuring out how I'm going to incorporate the different things going on around me into the posts. And ultimately, like I said, it's a muscle. And as soon as you
right.
start getting those consistent checks every day, okay, I posted today, I posted the next day, and you can get ahead of yourself, like you said, in terms of scheduling and in terms of knowing at least what you want to talk about. I think that that's an amazing way of getting ahead of it. So this was absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate your time. I want to open the floor for questions and answers as we are on a live podcast here. Everyone can put into the comments if they don't want to open up their mics or their video. You could feel free to put in the comments. I'll voice the questions for you. If it's not on something specific we spoke about today, you can put in the comments what you're stuck on, and we'll talk about that. And if you could ask one question today on networking in the digital world or how to talk to people when you're not face to face, you could put that in as well. What would that be? What would be that one question? If you could ask only one, you could put that into the comments as well. So let's get a move on here. So right now we have a question when it comes to writing messages. So someone wrote, how do you write a message so that it is seen and replied? And how to set up this feeling of interest and to earn some trust? It's a fantastic question.
It's a very, very good question. The answer is, let me see if I can pull up that message. I think the best those are usually the best lessons when you can actually show a real example. The way to show it, the way is to show interest in the other person instead of trying to get them interested in you. So usually a good way is to check about something they posted recently, something about what they are, like show that they're interested. I'm going to share my screen for a quick second. I'm going to show you something that I think is going to be very beneficial to this conversation. I think I'm sharing the wrong thing. Yeah. Do you see my LinkedIn screen?
It was turned off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just a second.
While you're pulling that back up, I'll take a jab out of this.
You
At
see
the end of
that?
the day, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So look at this. I just scrolled up to the first message. This is the message that was sent to me. So look at this. It was December 9, 2019. Read this message. This is the first message she sent me. So Hoodie Greenberger says, in his post that I should be seeing your content. Can we please connect? And then, is that genuine? Is this real? Is this or what? And then, P.S., you can add a few words to your headline describing what you do, as people don't know which industry Magdal is in. She was a copywriter.
Good old days.
She was a copywriter. And how's this for an opening conversation? And this was my response.
This is going back years.
This is going back years.
Fantastic. It's a great real example in real life.
And that was it. And this was the start of something very, very big.
Right. Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you know, when you're writing a message that you want to be seen, like we said earlier, it's really about asking something that they said, something that they referenced either on their post, in a comment, on their profile itself, their past history, and then just being genuinely curious. People can read right through the screen whether you are being genuine or you're not. And if you're really being curious about them and what are interesting to them, and really not trying to get them to a meeting and get them to an end result, but really just going through the process in a way that you are trying to serve them, that's how you're going to be able to build up those, you know, feelings on their side. Another question we have here is, what do you suggest when people stop responding to DMs, even when there's no sales pitch involved in the slightest? So I think that it's a very powerful question. And there's so many different ways of going about this. I'll take the first one on this one. But a lot of times people are busy, right? Direct messaging, at the end of the day, we need to remember, is an ongoing conversation. It's not something that, like a phone call where, you know, from second to second, we're responding to someone else's responses, especially because people are sometimes writing something right before they walk into a meeting. 3 hours later, they come out of back-to-back meetings. They see your message. They're done for the day. They're going to come back to it the next day. They get too busy a few days later. So really, a lot of times, it's not necessarily that they're ignoring you or that they have nothing that they want to say. Sometimes you just need to bump that message back up to the top. One of my personal ways of doing this is trying to interrupt the pattern. And a lot of times it's by figuring out what's the emotion that I want to convey and finding a GIF that conveys that emotion. It's something that's different. It's something that gets people's attention. They appreciate it. I can't begin to tell you the amount of conversations that just like went completely dry. And I sent a GIF saying, "Are you still with me?" And right away, I got a response back literally within a minute, 2 minutes, because they're like, oh, they can't see the message sometimes. Not that that's what we're trying to do. They have to go into it to see what it is that you sent. But more so than that, it makes curiosity on their part. It piques their curiosity. They're curious what it is that you sent them, and you could restart the conversation from there. What would you say about this, Joel?
I would say, yeah, definitely try to be different. People are getting so many messages, especially busy people. Especially, I don't think you're trying to connect with people that have nothing to do with their day but reading messages on LinkedIn, right? We're trying to engage with people that are actually busy. Like, I have time to look on LinkedIn maybe 5 minutes a day. I just don't have the time. My day is scheduled. My day is fully booked. And yeah, you try to be different. Try to be this was actually, I know that someone left. Someone was trying to get me in my inbox, and I don't have always time to respond. And one day I come into my office. One day I got a message on LinkedIn like, "There's a note on your door," and I come in and I see this. So try to be different. You definitely need to try to be different. You can't just message the regular stuff and expect people to become interested. Voice notes is very effective. Video is very effective. Pictures are very effective. GIFs, emojis, be creative, out of the box. Don't play by anyone's rules. Don't try to be, what are the rules? What can I do? What can't I do? Feel free. Just be you, do your thing, and always remember, Sales is a numbers game. Not every single message is going to be responded to. It's never going to be 100%. But if you do it right and you track your numbers, you would see that certain things increase the numbers, increase the chances of people responding to. Not every single message is going to be responded to, and that's okay.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're trying to attract our tribe, the people that we want to be in our community that we want to be around. If they're not attracted to you, then you probably don't want to do business with them anyways.
All right.
There's another two questions here that I want to try to go through a little quickly before we wrap it up. Does scheduling posts impact reach? And what are the recommendations for how to keep track of LinkedIn leads? So I'm going to tackle the second one first because that's more in my level of expertise. Yeah. Having a CRM is a very powerful way of doing this. If you're using Sales Navigator, they do have some sort of CRM, but really having your own CRM off the platform where you're keeping track of who you're engaging with and when you're connecting with them and going through figuring out what is your sales cycle and how you go from finding a prospect that could be a potential client to connecting with them, engaging with them, going back and forth with them in DMs till you at some point take them offline into a meeting is in my opinion, the best way of doing that. And does scheduling posts impact reach? To the best of my knowledge, it doesn't, but I'll hand that over to you as that's more your expertise than it is mine, Joel.
It does and it doesn't.
Ooh, tell us more.
Technically, it doesn't. So people think that the algorithm is going to lower your post. I got a message a couple of weeks ago from someone. Like I see a major drop in engagement, but I think it has to do because I started scheduling my posts. Do you think LinkedIn is LinkedIn algorithm is doing that? No, the LinkedIn algorithm does not lower your reach because you schedule your post. That has no impact, but it does impact your reach. Why? Because one of the things that one of the most important things in order to get good reach on LinkedIn is be active on the platform. Remember, this is not a stage where you get up and you give your speech and you walk off, you get the applause and you go home. And if you do that, if you treat it as such, you will not get engagement. If you want to get good engagement, which equals more eyeballs and more connections and a bigger audience, you need to engage with the audience. And scheduling posts defeats that purpose. In other words, I don't want to post on LinkedIn anytime that I did not spend a fair amount of time before that engaging with my audience. I would always engage before posting and after posting. That's why I don't schedule my posts. It's scheduled in the sense I have it in my project management software. I use Asana. It's scheduled. It has a date
but
when
not
it's
on the
supposed to go
platform
out,
itself.
but not, yeah, I don't want any post to just appear on the platform without me being there.
That's a very important point. Engaging even 15 minutes before, if my memory serves me correctly, in terms of the numbers that people have done.
Even 5 minutes engagement before you post is going to make a world of a difference to your post. Promise. Try
and then
it.
A couple of minutes
prove me
afterwards as
wrong.
well.
Yeah, a couple of minutes afterwards as well. Try to do 5 minutes before and after, and you'll see a world of a difference.
This was absolutely fantastic, Joel. Thank you very much for your time. I encourage every single person that listened to this, that was here today, write something down that you are going to implement. Write one thing down you took away from today that you really want to start putting into practice, and try to do that every single day. Be consistent with it. Build up those muscles. In this live podcast series, we speak about something that's timely, interesting, that you can add to your skill set toolbox. If you loved what we did here today, you can feel free to hit myself up for a free 30-minute strategy call. You can, understand better how to take your sales game to the next level. We do get booked out pretty quick, so I would definitely encourage you to take a look at that. I'm going to be putting my contact information in the chat. And if you're interested, please feel free to go ahead and message me in that way. And with that, I would definitely say that I wish every single person here an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. And thank you very much for coming. Joel, do you have anything that you want to say at the end before we log off?
Oh, it's been very enjoyable. I loved the conversation as always. We had many of those without an audience as well.
Absolutely.
So always love talking to you. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to message me as well, and I will try as best as I can.
Fantastic. Thank you very much to everyone who was here today. It was great learning with all of you together. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Until next time, take care.